both the male and female program would be seen as one. And whatever opportunities were there for the boys would be there for the girls as well.
Langley has the opportunity to be the hub of sports in a sense.
You look around the Lower Mainland and you go, where is there another stadium like that?
Welcome. This is live from Langley BC, the #1 podcast in Langley, where we talk to local Langley residents and business owners about local Langley events and businesses. Today's guest is LUSA's, Langley United Soccer Association's very own Mark Parker. He's a technical director there, and I've known him for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a while, Danny. Thank you very much for the invite. I think I got to know you in 2009, to be honest.
Yeah. I was looking at when you started to get a gauge. And so 2009, I would have been in grade 9. So what is that? Like 14 years old or so?
Exactly.
Yeah, working, playing out of the youth academy there. And it was just by chance I was in the area the other day and I saw you walking into the clubhouse and I'm like, hey, I got to go talk to him. I haven't seen you in a minute now.
No, I know. That was probably the first time I've seen you since you graduated out of under 18.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic bumping into you.
Yeah. It's great that you still have that, connection with the players because it's been, I think I played men's league here and there. Wasn't any like top tier level at that point. I think I played like Div 1. I dabbled in Prem here and there, but it wasn't ever on the starting 11 there. And it's just like we never saw, we never lost time there.
Yeah, it's interesting, Danny. You make mention about the players remaining in the community. The club right now has 14 adult teams,
Wow.
and the players on those are players that we had when you were a kid, and it seems just that they don't want to leave Langley for whatever reason that is, right? But really, really cool to see the 2009, the 15-year-old boys now having families and back in the club.
Yeah.
Having little, 5 and 6-year-olds in the club. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I've been, just getting my feet wet, I guess, with not my baby because she's only 14 months now, but nieces, right? My fiance's, I guess, nieces, and I'm just coaching them here and there, right? And it's like sparked something up, and I've always thought about at one point ending up there, and I'm going to have to if I'm going to get my baby girl to actually play,
right?
Because otherwise I feel like I would be a little bit more hands-on. I'd probably end up as a coach or something.
Right. I have grandkids in the club as well now.
Oh, wow.
So seeing that as a cycle as well, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have come a long way too, because you were telling me too, and I want to get into some of these numbers, is first of all, like, how have you found the growth of the club over the last, what is that? It's like 20 something years.
It is, yeah. It's been phenomenal, Dan. When I started in 2009, you may remember that we were a boys only club at that time. And I think we were just shy of 1,000 players. And over the 2 seasons now, it's spring and fall. We never really had a spring season when you were a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
You did your September to March, and then you had the summer off kind of thing. But now we've got a spring season. So between the 2 seasons, we're touching 6,000 players. Now, granted, some of them are double-ups that play spring and fall. But the number that we have right now is just shy of 6,000.
Wow, it's huge.
It is.
Exponential growth for sure.
Yeah, over 20 years or whatever it was, 900 to 6,000, and very pleased to say boys and girls, and our female program is pretty cool.
And that's cool to see too, because before it wasn't taken as seriously, in my opinion. And I don't know, maybe there wasn't the popularity behind the females program, but now,
yeah, I think the success of the women's national team, the Project 8, which is on the horizon for the female professional program in Canada.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that in itself has to be a magnet for the girls to join up and start running around a football field.
Yeah. Well, it also, I don't know what's changed since I was growing up, but they're a lot better. And I've seen, it's funny how they run around some of the boys. Like I have, like my niece, right? Like she could run around some of the boys, and it's like, that's, people would never have expected that. So I'm glad that we went that direction overall.
When we went that direction, there was a firm agreement made by the board and the staff that both the male and female program would be seen as one. And whatever opportunities were there for the boys would be there for the girls as well. And we've stuck to that. And we've got some really, really good female players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Really good.
Well, you were talking about the growth of the club. Was there any specific year that you see like a jump, or you got the numbers?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, awesome. I brought them with.
Down.
We, like everybody, we took a bit of a bump when COVID hit us. I go back 5 years. We were 2185, both boys and girls. And then we dropped in COVID to 1897. So we lost, 200 players. But right now, last fall, we ended at 2957. And as of today, for fall, September this year, we're at 2571. So we're knocking on the door of the exact number that we were, and we still have 3 months left for registration. The challenge, obviously, with that comes facilities. You don't want to say you're capped by facilities, and you chase or you turn players away, but that's the reality right now.
Is there anything in the pipeline for expansion in that sense?
It's interesting that you asked that, because last Tuesday we had our AGM and our awards banquet over at the Langley Event Center. And during that meeting, the new mayor was supposed to attend, but he got called away to a council meeting where they just approved funds to investigate and come up with a design for a new soccer campus.
Bigger than the one that is already.
I'm not sure what the structure will be. I'm not sure the number of fields. It's been rumored to be 3. It's been rumored to be 4. Okay. Anything right now will do us. But to hear that information come back at our AGM was fantastic. And that will help the community. Unfortunately, it's not immediate. But kudos to the council for seeing the vision and doing what they've done.
Yeah, well, I remember when LEC, I guess Willoughby Community Park is what they call it, was one just turf field. And then just seeing that grow, just popping up all around you, and not even understanding what was about to what they just finished building there, which is 6,000 person arena, right, for the new club, Vancouver FC. Yeah. So that being said, do you think that Vancouver FC came here because of that, or were they always kind of in talks to kind of move?
I think the ownership and the owner, Rob Friend, he definitely wanted to bring the team to Langley when the CPL kicked off a few years ago. And for whatever reason, it never happened. And the franchise ended up in Langford on the island. Pacific, yeah. And then when the opportunity came for expansion in the CPL, it was an opportunity for Rob to sever his ties with Pacific, move out this way, which he has. But I think Langley's always been on the cards for him. He's a good businessman for sure. And, seeing the opportunity in Langley with the growth that we're going through from both a community point of view, as well as, the club, the popularity of football out here. It was, I think, a very, very good decision on their behalf. And, obviously you might mention to the stadium. Yeah. You look around the Lower Mainland and you go, where is there another stadium like that? And immediately you go, Burnaby, Swangard. But when you look at the Swangard Stadium, with no disrespect to Swangard, I kind of fancy the Willoughby.
It's kind of like an oversized McLeod Athletic Park.
Right, exactly.
With one grandstand. And then I think they had some benches across the other side. But this is, I didn't even think they could do something like that there. It just didn't look like it could fit comfortably in the way that they've laid it out. I'm impressed.
It was, watching it go up, because our club offices are right there. And looking out the windows, watching it go up, we kept saying to ourselves, there's no way this is going to be ready. Yeah. And then you come in and be a couple of workers, and then a few more, and then a few more, and then pop, there it was.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's nice. And then does the Langley team have access to that at all? Because I think I've seen some like youth players or younger players playing out of there, unless they have now an academy team.
Yeah, no. Langley United, we do have access to that field. It hasn't been taken out of circulation or rotation from the township. Yeah, we're using it this Saturday morning from 9 till 3. Just to get the kids on that field, the field's the same, but now it's got the grandstand around it. It gives it a different atmosphere.
Well, I just got like thinking about that and what impact that would have done to, for example, me growing up. Like I just got goosebumps when you said that, because it's one of those things where Langley, and I mean Vancouver kind of had it with the Whitecaps. They kind of came on down the road, but to be able to be in that arena and like locally, first of all, support the home team, right? Then you kind of build that passion, and then you take that into your own sport. But then another thing is that you get to play in the same field that now you're watching these players, and it just adds that other factor of, builds to the passion, I think.
The very first game that they had in the stadium, it was sold out. It was 6,300, I think it was, 6,500. The very first game, we had little ball boys walk out who were Langley United players. And, just that in itself was, that little kid's probably going, I'm going to be here one day. And then to give them the opportunity to go and run around and play on the field as well, it's kind of like a European model coming to fruition.
That's the thing, right? We don't have that here in any, like Whitecaps, I feel like are on a different level, so they might not give access as much as because for safety reasons, and they have other events there. But to have something so accessible like this, it's something that any young player is going to look at and take advantage of. It's great. I'm excited for that, right? To be able to take my firstborn and maybe potentially down the road more down to the game on a Sunday, like that's just going to help build that passion that some people weren't able to experience.
But let's be honest, Dan, who would have thought 5 years ago you'd be walking out onto a football field in Langley at the event center at Willoughby, and it's professional football?
Yeah,
who would have thought that?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm glad they started that second tier too of professional football, because it was, like I said, that big gap into the MLS, and then there's no subdivision to kind of get more experience, right? You either had to grow up playing Whitecaps probably to get up there, or get scouted. Right now, it allows younger players to get noticed on a different level. And we've had some players from here play in that league, I think. Yeah, any that you can recall actually from Langley United?
Yeah, I mean we can get to him in a minute. The Joel Waterman story. But if
I think I played with them.
Yeah. If you look at the Whitecaps, and no knock on the Whitecaps at all, they have their goals and they have, their needed achievements. But if you look at the volume of BC-based players on their team, having the CPL in Langley and the opportunity for young kids to come through who are bred in BC is fantastic. Yeah, I mean Joel Waterman is a phenomenal. He was around at your age. When you were a youngster, and he came through our ranks. He left us and went to one of the other BCSPL franchises, because we never had BCSPL at that time. And then he moved on to the Whitecaps in their youth program and into, I believe it's Whitecaps 2, it was. And then he ended up at Trinity Western, the university there, and he had a great little, collegiate career there. And, he always had a burning desire to be a pro football player. And he dabbled in the States in one of their lower divisions. And then he got picked up by Calgary, the Foothills Calgary cavalry team, playing in the CPL again. And then Terry Henry, who was coaching Montreal at the time, went, we're going to sign this guy. And he's still with Montreal right now. In fact, he's playing in Vancouver tonight in the final, in the Canadian Championship final. So, then he got called up to the World Cup team at the expense of someone who got injured. So, fair enough. That's what football's about. Yeah. He got called up, and he was part of the World Cup team in Qatar, and he's a Langley-based boy.
Yeah. Well, that's the opportunity that comes from. Yeah. I'm sure there must have been so many opportunities for other players, too, that at some point, if we had a team that they could have also had a similar fate. So I'm excited for the future. Yep. That's all I can say about that. And that's awesome for Joel.
Yeah. Just one more thing before we move on. My goal is to have the first Langley United player walk out with Vancouver Football Club. I think it's going to be a couple of years down the road, but it's going to happen.
I don't doubt it. There's so many skilled players out of Langley that, like, I remember, I don't know why every team we had played on, it felt weird when we lost, especially like we went to provincials, like we'd always win games. Yeah. It just, that's all I remember anyways. Maybe that's my memory, but all I remember is the wins and hardly ever like, making it to the finals and not winning anything.
Yeah.
So, and that's when every Langley team I played through, like youth to men's league to spring, I guess. Yep. That was mostly in between Langley teams. I'm excited for the future of, football in Langley, and crazy to see what's going to come from it. So, speaking about Langley, you were telling me though that your youth program has kind of started to flip on you, where so many people are staying rather than going into the city, I think it was. Yeah. Right? Why do you think that is?
I think you just look around the communities right now in terms of expansion. Langley is known to be a community that's expanding. It was funny, I was speaking to someone yesterday about growth on the North Shore for the young family. And when the young families are, graduate out of high school and university, they're looking for homes, they're moving into Langley and the surrounding areas. And you look across the mainland, and there's a number of communities that are in the same situation that they just can't grow. And Langley, driving down 208 and whatever comes with that is fantastic for us as a club. We just need to get the facility sorted out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important for sure. Yeah. It's funny you say that actually, because I did hear that in, like, for example, to one extreme, Vancouver, right, where it's all developed out, there's no more room for growth. People over there are actually deciding to not have kids, right? So the average person there, average female there has, I think, 1.1 kids, right? And then you go to 𝐏𝐴𝐴𝐿, and that number goes up to about 3 per, like, I don't think it's woman, because that might be a lot. I think it's probably like actual mom, right? Per mom, you get 1.1. How they got the 0.1, I don't know. Right. But basically, it's because affordability and, space. They don't have that space over there. It's so expensive for families to come in and have that extra room for their kids. So it's a very dog friendly city, but dogs don't play football. So I'm probably expecting that, they're very well known VMFL, football league. Yeah, is that what it is? Vancouver Soccer League, anyways, whatever it is.
VSML? Vancouver Metro Soccer League.
Yeah, VMSL. Yeah, that's what it was. So I think that, that is going to slowly start taking a turn, and the Valley is probably going to take over. I don't know. I heard some talks about Surrey also putting in an arena, but I think that got shut down.
I heard something. I read something on their social media about, a little indoor arena, but I haven't seen anything come through yet.
Yeah, because if you compare that, for example, so Surrey is going to surpass Vancouver in growth by 2044. They said. So right now we're just outskirts of Surrey. Surrey doesn't have any arenas like that. They have, they have some sports parks, right, in Cloverdale, like 𝐏𝐴𝐴𝐿 and stuff like that. But they don't have an arena like we have. And they don't have LEC with also other facilities like
stadium.
They have hockey there. They have lacrosse there. They have basketball there. This is a next spot where there's anything available. So I think that with that being established, all the infrastructure in place, I think that, Langley has the opportunity to be the hub of sports in a sense.
Well, I think with the township and the new leadership that we've got through the new mayor, what I understand, his aspirations, his desires is it will be exactly that. It will be the hub for sport and the hub for entertainment, it'll be great to have little eateries around and, restaurants that you can walk to from your home, as opposed to having to drive. But no, it's definitely booming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereabouts are you in Langley?
I'm in Willoughby, just down the road from the fields, actually.
Oh, there you go.
Which makes it a great commute.
Get a little jog in there. Sometimes traffic can be a little bit bad, especially with all the construction going on. But I think they're opening up 202 Street for you. So
yeah, they put in a traffic light at what was it, 202 and 68, I think it was, and that slowed me down by a minute.
yeah. No, there's going to be more traffic lights, but it'll also open up more streets to get through.
Absolutely,
because that's always a hassle in Langley. So what is there anything that right now LUSA is working on? I don't know how much you can disclose. This episode, by the way, is probably going to air in probably like 4 to 6 weeks still. So unless you have something that it's in the pipeline for like 2 weeks from now, right? I can speed it up. So is there anything in the pipeline right now? Any events coming up in the summer, maybe?
Yeah, well, we actually, this coming weekend is our final weekend for the spring program, so we wrap up. And then we have a couple of teams that are moving on to the various provincial championships. So those will continue. And then, yes, we're actually hosting the provincial championships for the B Cup, the Boys B Cup, at Willoughby, 𝐏𝐡𝐨𝐴𝐧𝐞. And from that point of view, that's going to be a good, Langley under the microscope kind of thing. That's the biggest one that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. After that, we'll take a little bit of a summer break. We do the summer camps, and then we'll get going again in early September with the new full season. And hopefully by then we'd have a little bit more direction as to what's happening with the new facilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because how many fields right now do you guys have access to? Is like all the way to Aldergrove, or
there's loads of fields in Langley for sure. I think we've got 11 turf fields right now, but we do make use of the school district fields, the grass fields. Routley is one that we use on a regular basis. The Yorkson grass fields, which people don't really know about, they're kind of like hidden behind the apartment blocks.
They're always empty.
They're empty, yeah. So we use them. But yeah, we get use. The township are fantastic with giving us fields and that. So we use them all the way from Walnut Grove right through to Fort Langley, out to Aldergrove and back again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good that you have that variety to choose from, anyways. Because then that's always the issue, right? You end up with too many clubs, too many people, and you don't know where to put them. Right. So I think that's important, right? At one point, that is what steered me away from playing when I was younger. Well, transitioning, I guess, was I was like, it's so late. We were looking at practices around like 9 p.m.
It's interesting you say that, Danny, because, people say the drop-off rate in football, and make no mistake, there is a drop-off rate. Teenagers, under 15, under 16, under 17, there's a drop-off rate. And they say, oh, well, it's because they've got other interests, or they've got boyfriends and girlfriends, and they've got school, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly believe if you had more facilities and you can get those kids home earlier, the drop-off rate would not be as big as it is. The drop-off rate, as far as I'm concerned, is because exactly what you said. We've got kids training up until 9:30, quarter to 10. It's, let's say, a 30-minute pack up and go home. You're getting into bed at 11:30 and up for school the next morning by 8. So more facilities, kids will be home earlier. Drop-off rate will not be as big as it is.
I always wondered, actually, because I rallied through that, no problem. But it was always tough in the morning, for sure. And now understanding sleep cycles and all of that is like you need to get up, because we were getting up, like school starts at 8, and sometimes you have to get up like 7. I think school starts at 8. I don't remember anymore. But maybe latest 7:30 you wake up. To wake up at 7:30 comfortably, you should be in bed by like latest 10.
Right.
And like, but you should be winding down from about 8 p.m. Right. So if you come straight home, like just off the pitch, I'm pretty sure I showered before bed. But let's say those nights I didn't. It was still like your heart's pumping, like your adrenaline's still going. And even though you're tired, you're laying there with your eyes closed, but your brain on. Yeah. And you can't get to bed.
You just said, you're supposed to be winding down by 8. We've got kids starting to train at 8. And, they put in 90 minutes of training. And then all of a sudden they're hungry when they get home.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're going to bed on a full stomach again, So, yeah, you got to get them home earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of having, light. If it was light out longer here, I think you could use more of the grass fields, but then the lights are really important.
Yeah, we use them in the spring and the early months, but you're right, by, middle of September, beginning of October, we lose light, and then you got to squeeze them on the turf fields.
Yeah. And then there's, a few, you might as well get a scrimmage going between the teams at that point. So let's say somebody right now is contemplating watching this. I'm trying to think of the viewers watching this. Maybe it's somebody from out of town, right? And they're thinking about, okay, where should I play? First of all, do you take players from out of town, or would they have to be from Langley?
No, we take players from out of town. We have a number of out of town players. When I say out of town,
just like Surrey.
The Surrey border is so close to us, right? And in many cases,
Closer than Cloverdale.
Absolutely, Willoughby's closer to them than Cloverdale or Newton. So we do have them. We do have a couple who come in from Abbotsford and 𝐏𝐴𝐴𝐿, and we have a couple from Maple Ridge. So we do have them. But if there's one thing that I think should attract people to the club, my board, and I have a very active board, my board and the staff, the number one priority is child safety, making sure that the environment that the kids are playing the game they love is a safe and fear-free environment. And for the most part, I think we achieve that, but we'll continue to strive to be better.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had any problems, come to think of it, like on any of the fields in Langley. On the other flip side, going to other cities, I don't think I want to name them, but you see some stuff going on the sidelines. Let's just say that.
You see some unfortunate stuff going on, for sure. And you don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but, there are certain clubs that you really need to be aware of.
So you guys have a HPL team, right? Okay, because I wasn't sure. So how is that going? Because you guys started... when did you start that? You didn't have
that's an interesting one. We just wind the wheel back. BC Soccer came in with you said HPL, and that's what it was called then, the High Performance League.
Yeah.
Now they've rebranded it to the BC SPL.
Oh, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah, the British Columbia Soccer Premier League. So when the franchises were made available, you had to meet certain criteria. And one of the criteria was that you had boys and girls. And we never had it in those days. So we never applied. But as the years have gone on, our program's grown on both boys and girls. The opportunity came for us to meet what they call the National Club Youth License Standard. You have to meet certain criteria: safety, player safety, curriculum content. Coaches have to be certified. They have to go through their police records check. So you check all the boxes and you get awarded the National Youth License. So we got that in, I believe it was 2019. We were advised, was it 2018? I can't remember now. Anyway, we got advised that we got it awarded, and that was the middle of December. And we had to have teams ready by February. So by then, the majority of the players had found other BCSPL programs. So we went ahead with it with the 2008 born groups, and we still have them in the club now. They're at under 16 right now. But
how's that going?
It's going fine. We did obviously get stifled with COVID because that was 2019, I believe it was. So we had a bit of a backseat there. And just soon after we got going again, there was another, you'll remember there was another club in Langley. They used to operate under the name the Fraser Valley Premier Program. They used to run the BCSPL program, and for whatever reason...
Oh, is that one like Langley and Abbotsford mix?
Yes, correct.
What it was?
Yeah, so that didn't work out for them, and BC Soccer contacted us and asked whether we would take over the BCSPL teams that were left over. And obviously we said yes because we needed a place for the kids to play. We weren't going to turn the Langley kids away. So to answer your question, it's going quite well. We have 10 teams right now, 10,010 born all the way through to 2005. And of the 10, 8 of them are playing in the provincial cup final. Provincial first round games this coming weekend. Unfortunately, there's only 2 at home on Sunday at 11 and 1, and everybody else is away. So fingers crossed we can get through to the next round, because it is a knockout.
Right.
So you win, you move on. You lose, you keep training.
I'm surprised that they don't just bring everybody here. We
Right.
have the facilities.
Right. Yeah. Now, the BCSPL provincial championships work slightly differently. The finals are hosted by a location.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's being hosted by 𝐏𝐴𝐻𝐿. And as I said to you, we're hosting the B Cup for the boys here in July. But hopefully next week, after this weekend, we're still all in the cup play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good odds anyways.
Yeah, I hope so.
Before we get into this delicious snack lunch, I wanted to touch on, because you were talking about the kids, and I recalled that you were always in that, grassroots. That's your kind of background.
Mm-hmm.
You worked out of Surrey, I read, and then so what do you think? Like, I don't know what question to ask about that, but I want to know maybe like how important you think it is to, and I don't know, something about the grassroots, I guess. How important is it that the kids get a proper introduction and support in grassroots?
Yeah, I think it's paramount. You look at, the question that always gets asked to what you call the best coaches. What team do you want to coach? And the best coach always wants to coach the best team, for obvious reasons. And at Langley, we believe your best coaches have to be at the grassroots, because that's where the kids get turned on or they get turned off. And we have Chelsea Hannison, who is our leader in the grassroots department, and she oversees our grassroots development. And we do follow Canada Soccer's model. We don't tier until later on in their lives, so it's fear-free. There's no tryouts. It's all done through a season-long evaluation. So you'll remember the days when we used to say, all right, we got an under-16 Metro tryout coming up. And
yeah, about I think it was about 11, 12. That's when it got onto the 11 aside and you had to try out.
Yeah, and you'd recall what you felt like going to the field, and if you don't play this one game really, really well, you're probably not going to get picked.
Yeah. I mean, I always did really well, but I remember I think the first year or second year of Metro, I guess, tryouts, the team I ended up with, the coach, the whole year, first, I just remember it wasn't a fun year.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we did well, I remember that, like, I was like, I told my parents, I'm like, I'm not playing next year. At about, how old would I have been? I can't remember, like, probably, like grade 6, 11 years old. I was like, I'm done. Not playing anymore.
It's interesting the way I look at football, and I kind of like equate it to an education. So you have you go to school as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and you spend your season at school or your school year there. And on the very last day, they say to you, right, Danny, you're going to write this test. And if you pass this test, you're going to be moved up to the next grade. I look at it as, well, it's over the year Danny's developed as a player. Danny needs to move up to the next level. And it takes the stress off the kid. It takes the stress off the family. And it takes the stress off the coaches. Look at a kid over a longer period of time. It'll give you a lot more insight.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's just, you don't want them, to come to football. And unfortunately, when they drive into the tryout, as we used to call it, you got mom and dad going, hey, Danny, you know what? If you do really, really well here today, they're going to pick you. And if you don't, you know what, Danny, they're probably not going to pick you. So there's a bit of pressure put on there as well.
For sure.
And then you get out and your buddy's there and he's had the same conversation with his mom. And it's like, just take the stress away, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get that. Because, you could have, and like, it happens all the time. Like, you could have a great season, maybe you get injured towards the end or something like that comes up. And now all of a sudden, because of that performance, like now you don't make it through. And that looking at that perspective definitely changes things. Because, I mean, growing up, we were always, that was just how it was.
Yep,
and,
it was.
And now looking at, some different forms of sports, and then how they have, I don't want to say trophies for everyone, right? But this is a different this is like the in between. It's not like you're rewarding everybody, but you're giving them an opportunity long term to demonstrate their skills, and so they're not relying on that one day to really, decide their fate, essentially.
And I think that's, you hit the nail on the head when you said, decide their fate. Joel Waterman, again, I go back to him, perfect example. He got cut from the Whitecaps. He pretty much gave up and went to Trinity Western. He kind of so I can get my education done if I'm not going to be a Whitecaps player. And again, no knock on the Whitecaps. He just wasn't part of their system at the time, or not the player they wanted. And then he finished his graduation and he got picked up by Calgary, and look where he is now. So, he's got an education and he's a pro. So
that's important. It's important. That's a story a lot of people don't tell.
Yeah.
It's always he was picked from the start, and he went and repped the national team at 16 years old, and then he went and he got picked by signed to like Real Madrid. That's the fantasy story.
Yeah, Joel never got picked for one national youth team. Right? He played on our BC provincial teams, but he was, I'm not going to say overlooked. It just wasn't his time.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I've heard those stories before.
Yeah.
I had a few years there where I'm like, oh, that could be me.
Right.
But then, things change. But, what happened was, it was some player out of England that he basically went into men's league.
Right.
And, at that point, it was kind of like a beer league.
Yeah.
And then he just switched on all of a sudden and worked his way up the divisions. And I think he was getting signed. He was one of the oldest ever first signs onto the EPL.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed at Langley United. I've got two really, really good technical staff members with me. As I said, Chelsea running the grassroots and Azad Palani running the youth program. And Azad's got a saying that he holds very true to his heart. Development is not linear. It goes in ebbs and flows. So, you go through growth spurts. I'm struggling right now because I'm Bambi on ice kind of thing. I can't walk and chew in a straight line. But you get through your growth spurt and you become back that player that you were. So, you got to look at those things in youth development.
That's something, I'm enlightened by that because I would have never looked at it that way until now. So, yeah, that's awesome. And so I guess if you're watching this and you have kids, that's come to Langley because that's how they like to do things.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you online or location wise?
Yeah, langleyunited.com. That's the web address. Email address is technicaldirector@lusa.ca. Reach out. Absolutely.
Awesome. And LinkedIn?
LinkedIn as well, absolutely, yes.
That's the go-to. Every time I don't know, I always came across you on LinkedIn of all places.
Right.
So
it's interesting, that LinkedIn because, here I am, over the age of 60, closer to 65 than 60, and I'm seeing all these 15-year-old boys on LinkedIn, but they're not 15 no more.
Yeah.
They're 30.
Yeah, they're pretty much. Yeah, that's coming up on 30 now. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's great. I like LinkedIn for that because it draws different, perspectives on, where people are in their careers rather than just like showing off, like the highlight reel of like, look how great my life is. But it's like, okay, great. But like, what are you doing with your life aside from that? Where are you contributing? And that's where you can display that on LinkedIn. So it's kind of, it helps showcase that. In other
sure
ways.
Does,
Yeah. But have you had Merinos before?
You know what, Denny? I love Merinos, by the way.
Okay. So you're not a stranger to Merinos. What's your favorite?
Are you referring to the sandwiches right now?
The sandwiches. But you probably go there for other things.
I do, yeah. We'll get to the sandwiches in a moment. But their butchery.
Oh, yeah.
I walked in there, probably Saturday or Sunday last week. I said to the wife, I'll do a barbecue. And I walked in and I picked up 2 steaks. Oh, my goodness me.
Which kind were they?
They were porterhouse steaks. They were really, really good.
How'd you cook them?
On the barbecue.
Anything? Just salt and pepper?
Salt and pepper on the barbecue, and away you go. They're really, really good. But their sandwiches are good, for sure. The one that they got a bit of, I think it's turkey and brie, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. That was the third favorite. I think these two are the first two. It's the Soprano.
Right.
And the, I'm blanking. Soprano and the Dan, thank you. The Cubano.
Right.
So that's always a good one. So let's get into this.
Yeah.
Just a couple bites. Tell them what you're.
Is this one different to what you have?
Yes. So I think that one is the Soprano because the Cubano I know has pickles in it usually.
Yeah, this is definitely good.
Always very very meaty. They don't spare any meat on these. And then the sauces are always perfect.
Yep.
There's just enough sauce to balance out the meat. This one is the Cubano, I think. So comes with cheese. It's a typical Cubano. Cheese, ham, and pickle on there. And then the Soprano, that's the bacon one. Right. That one looks really good.
Yeah, this is good. I don't think I've ever been into Marino's not seeing a smiley face, by the way. You know, all the staff in there are fantastic.
I was talking about this the last time we had Marino's. The way they do their sandwiches is pretty smart. They have them all lined up, ready to go. But when you come in there, you're going to get them pressed. You're going to get them warmed up. In the meantime, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have a little walk around.
Right.
And what do you come across? Their entire deli section, and everything just looks amazing. And you're like, should I just go home and make this? Because, every time I go there, my mouth starts watering before I even eat because I go and I have a little stroll through the display section, see what they have.
Have you had their Maui ribs?
I love Maui ribs. I haven't had theirs. Do they like season them any specific way?
They got a real good Maui marinade on them.
Oh, yeah.
Well worth a try.
Maui ribs are my favorite. Yeah, they're easy to just throw on there.
On the barbecue.
You can't really mess them up. I think it's one of those because there's such fine amount of meat on there, so they're usually in and out pretty quickly.
Yep.
And then you don't you don't have to deal with an undercooked Maui rib ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You can have a taste of that other one too.
I will.
But we'll wrap things up. Make sure you go check out Marino's. This is the second time we've had them. I called in, told them to get it ready for me. Otherwise, like I said, you kind of get some what's it called? You start to want to buy some other things.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Impulsive buying.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe. If you have any questions for Mark or LUSA, make sure you message them online. They're on Instagram and LinkedIn. Or comment down below, and then I'll pass that information on to them. If you have kids, bring them to Langley because I'm a prime example of what comes out of Langley with their football program. So, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.